As Big E once famously said, I want to see big men slapping all kinds of meat. And if there's one thing you need to check out from last night's really mild episode of Monday Night Raw, it's Braun Strowman, who was speaking all kinds of nonsense, by the way. You've won 12 traditional Survivor Series tag team 5-on-5 matches if you're Braun Strowman. Your character's not even 12 years old itself. Big Braun versus Keith Lee versus Sheamus. Those three men were slapping meat all over that arena like a set of cymbals in a big brass band. Absolutely fantastic stuff. But I tell you what, outside of that fantastic meat slapping match, we really are struggling to find things from last night's show to really sink our teeth into. Aside from, of course, Alexa Bliss, who was absolutely fantastic visually. Last night, she was doing that thing from Big Daddy. You know, the small blonde child when he gets his spittle and lets it fall to the ground, then sucks it back up? Alexa Bliss was doing that, but with a fruit winder inside of her mouth instead of spittle. You might think I'm talking nonsense. You might think I'm lying. I'm not. That's a thing that happened. Anywho, I am Ross Twiddell from Cultaholic Wrestling, and welcome to all the WTF moments from last night's really meh episode of Monday Night Raw. Intro man in the corner there, my good pal. Hit the intro, will you? So this week's Raw opened up with dramatic voiceover man who surprisingly sounded a lot like the dramatic voiceover man who WCW used all the way back in early 2000. Go back and watch him early 2000 WCW and watch last night's Raw and you will see what I mean. Imagine if it was the same man. Wow. But we had dramatic voiceover man asking the question, has the Predator, Randy Orton, become the prey? And I was sat there thinking, dramatic voiceover man, thank you so much for putting your degree in stating the bleeding obvious from numb to university to good use. Has the man who was chasing the WWE title and the same man who has now won the WWE title and is now being chased by the guy who used to hold the WWE title, is this man now the prey and this man now the predator? Yes. And then we have a direct quote from Randall Keith. That was very pleasurable on the old mouth. When he said, 8 days ago, I proved that I am better than every WWE superstar in the back. Excuse me, I mean in the locker room. Now, first of all, excuse me, Randy Orton showing some kind of manners? The end is nigh, time to run away, the end is nigh. But also, it looks like we just learned the latest in the long line of really weird Vince McMahon pet peeves. I bloody hate them. However, man, Vince, we all know the locker room is in the back. It's behind the big bloody Titantron. What's wrong with superstars, apparently, saying that the locker room is in the back? Unless, of course, Vince McMahon does believe that saying in the back sounds like saying in your arse. I do apologise. Let me do that properly. In my ass! But then Randy Orton dared any WWE superstar in that Raw locker room, which, of course, is located in the arse. Oh dear. To try and take that WWE title away from his snaky shoulders, which don't even exist because snakes do not have shoulders. But curiously, while challenging the entire WWE Raw locker room to try and take the title from his snaky shoulders, Randall Keith named none other than the big dog himself, Mr. Roman Reigns. And of course, as we all know, when last night's Raw was taking place, Roman Reigns would have been nowhere near the WWE Thunderdome because, as we've learned by watching SmackDown over the last little while, Roman Reigns will have been enjoying his tea at the head of the table because he's the most important one, and that means he sits at the end of the table and not in the middle because of reasons. But after Randy Orton said this as well, he was then answered by none other than Alexa Bliss, who appeared by giving us a WTF moment in our ears. And that's because she debuted a brand new theme on last week's episode of Monday Night Raw, a theme that had the entirety of squared circles salivating from the mouth. They all loved it. But she appeared this week, and the old theme, the theme we all know, and we know that was there instead. And if I'm going to read too much into this, which of course I do all the time here on WTF Moments, that would tell me that when we see Alexa Bliss dressed like that, that is normal Alexa Bliss, but a little bit darker than we might have seen over the past few years. But when the dungarees come out, like they did on last week's Raw, that's when you need to run, dear viewer, and every WWE superstar, apart from The Fiend, because she's different. And then we saw an attempted Money in the Bank cash-in by The Miz himself, which Daddy Drew McIntyre, he put an end to that. But I've got to question Drew McIntyre's tactics at this time. Now, we all know that Daddy Drew McIntyre himself wants to make Randall Keith suffer. We all know that Daddy Drew McIntyre wants Randy Orton to keep the WWE title, so Daddy Drew McIntyre can be the guy to take the title off the snaky shoulders, if they even exist, of Randall Keith. Randall Keith. But I'm saying to you, Daddy Drew, why are you not being a piece of trash? Because me stood here as a human piece of trash, if I was in Daddy Drew McIntyre's massive, big Claymore boots, I'd be saying last night, Miz, you go ahead, pal. You take the WWE title right off the snaky shoulder of Randall Keith. Because you know what, Mizzles, within the realms of kayfabe, and probably ability-wise as well, you are a lot worse than Randall Keith. Therefore, me taking the WWE title off you is going to be a hell of a lot easier than taking it off Randall Keith. And of course, this happened before Daddy Drew McIntyre defeated The Miz and John Morrison in a handicap match, further proving me point even more. So after that handicap match is in the record books and me point has been proven further, Daddy Drew, you're a silly noble horse. Be a piece of trash. Sometimes it is smart to be trash. Put that on me gravestone. I don't know what I'm saying here. And then we have Tom Phillips himself face fornicating the poo out of a line on WWE commentary when he said, "Whoa! Jeff Hardy with a smash hit like that." Not like that, because that would be with a chair. Like this, because he had a guitar. Yeehaw. And Tom Phillips said that because obviously it was a pre-planned line written by one of the boffins who work on the creative team for WWE. But also, he shouldn't have really said that because the guitar didn't even bloody smash. I am the guitar or something, Matthew. And also, Tom, you forgot to mention the pin part of the stipulation every single time you ran through the stipulation for last night's match. So when Jeff Hardy grabbed that guitar, hoofed Elias right on the back and then went to pin him, I was like, what the hell? Nah, hold up. Because according to Tom Phillips, all night long to that point, the winner was the guy to retrieve the guitar and then smash it on the back of their opponent. Come on, Tom, you silly little goose. Now, I don't know who makes the matches on Monday Night Raw. It might be Adam Pearce, it might be somebody else. But to whoever makes the matches on Monday Night Raw, what the hell are you doing? We're just under 3 weeks away, I do believe, from Survivor Series 2020, which is the only night of the year where Raw and SmackDown superstars go head-to-head, didn't you know? Oh. And we're seeing matchups between members of the same teams for the traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series tag team matches. I'm asking, how can any good come of scenarios like that one there, Adam Pearce, or somebody who works with Adam Pearce? Think it through, man. And then we have a direct quote from Uncle Al, Mr. AJ Styles himself, when he says, "Do you realize if we beat Team SmackDown, what it will do for my legacy?" And AJ Styles, as we know fine well here on WTF Moments, he's all about the little things, making the biggest difference in the world of professional wrestling. And let me tell you, AJ pal, a win for you, a win for Team Raw over Team SmackDown, that'll do the littlest thing, if anything at all, for your legacy in the realms of professional wrestling, because this Raw versus SmackDown rivalry is a load of bollocks. Keith Lee swanton bombed the ring apron and lived to tell the tale. That's it. That's the WTF moment. Nothing more needs to be said. So next up, we heard Angel Garza himself talking about some unnamed assailant within the WWE Universe. Someone who, I quote, has brilliant eyes. Somebody who, I quote, has an irresistible smile. He's talking about me, isn't he? But on a more serious note, was this teasing the potential debut of a new superstar to Monday Night Raw? Or maybe, just maybe, was Angel Garza threatening to shag every single member of the WWE Universe? Something he could well do, me knowing Angel Garza like I do, the dirty dog. And at no point yesterday when I was thinking, oh, goody, I've got to watch Monday Night Raw when I get to work tomorrow, did I expect to see Abby the Witch telling both Alexa Bliss and Randall Keith himself to go f themselves. But that's something that happened last night, therefore WTF. And wow, look at WWE doing what WWE does best, putting smiles on people's screens. I'm just asking the question, WWE, why are we showing crowd reaction shots when we don't really have a crowd there? I've got to be honest with you, me brain is absolutely frazzled. I've tried to say the following thing I want to say so many times I've given up. I'm just going to read it out. On television, we watch people on TV screens watching people on TV screens. That's the WTF moment there. What was all that about? Now that's what I was talking about in the intro to this very video. What the hell is that red thing? Of course it could well be a lovely succulent strawberry fruit winder taking us all the way back to school days in the early noughties, packed lunches and cartoon things. Yeah. But whatever that is, it did make Bray Wyatt himself say, oh shit. That's the third swear. Now, nothing against Lacey Evans here. We all know that Lacey Evans is a fine professional wrestling heel in her own right. For goodness sake, if you follow her on Twitter, a few weeks ago you would have seen her go up to an old people's home, sort of pull up her skirt, put her leg on the windowsill, just like that. I'm just as seductive as Lacey Evans, me. And she said to the old people inside the old people's home, damn lads, you've never seen a leg like that for years, have you? That's how good of a heel Lacey Evans is. But that shot there just reminded me that WWE took the Iconics, the perfect tag team. No funnier tag team could you want. In terms of chemistry, you can't teach the chemistry Peyton Royce and Billy Kay had together. It was a match made in heaven. They took that and replaced it with that. And what the hell were they thinking? And then we have a direct quote from Bobby Lashley when he says, Sami Zayn, you think because you're Intercontinental Championship, you're better than me because you represent so many countries? And yes, I know Sami Zayn was on last week's SmackDown saying what Bobby Lashley said there, but this entire thing, Bobby taking it literally. Oh, I do that a lot, don't I? Anyway, Bobby taking it literally. That's a WTF moment in my book. What a silly sentence. And then we have Kofi Kingston speaking to the entirety of the Hurt Business saying, Hurt Business, pals, no offense. I don't mean to brag, but I've won more WWE titles than all of you put together. So naturally, I took myself over to Wikipedia, which of course is the best source on the internet today because no matter what you're looking at, anybody in the world could have edited it. Therefore, you always know you're getting the best source of information. I learned that Kofi Kingston has 21 different WWE Championship reigns, tag team, intercontinental, all the titles. And then I learned that Cedric Alexander has 3 WWE Championship reigns, the Cruiserweight, the 24/7, you know what I'm talking about here. I learned that Shelton Benjamin has 9 different title reigns in WWE. I learned that MVP, how many does he have? My memory is shot. He has 3 titles. And then Robert Lashley himself has 6. And you add those 4 numbers up together and you get 21. That's if Wikipedia is correct, which of course it always is. Please be right, Wikipedia, because if it is right, Kofi Kingston has the same amount of title reigns in WWE as the entirety of the Hurt Business put together. Therefore, bona fide babyface Kofi Kingston is a massive stinking liar. And that can't be right, can it? And then we learned that Bobby Lashley suffers from premature ejaculation because Lana told the New Day that Bobby Lashley can only last 8 seconds when he's in the bedroom with her. To get away from that thought, Bobby Lashley, blotting everywhere. You love to see it, don't you? And you love to think about it even more. I can't get out of my mind. We had MVP saying that the Raw Tag Team titles, they are not gold. And that's even though Xavier Woods, who was on SmackDown, but of course we know the Raw Tag Team title belts, the SmackDown Tag Team title belts, they're both the same, aren't they? They're interchangeable like a toy. He was on an episode of SmackDown a long time ago saying that yes, the SmackDown Tag Team titles, they are silver, but actually the substance itself, it is gold, it's silver gold, it's something like that. I can't remember which SmackDown it happened on, but I know in my mind that it did happen. No doubt somebody out there watching this video knows when Xavier Woods said that on an episode of SmackDown, and if you do, let me know down there. You'll be providing a great service to the world. Contact lenses. Ronald Mysterious and/or Kane contact lenses is what made the crazy and deranged Nikki Cross herself a potentially psychotic WWE character the sight of some contact lenses the week after the weekend of Halloween, by the way. That made Nikki Cross piss herself and run away. And I'm asking, why is Nikki Cross pissing herself and running away at the sight of her old pal wearing contact lenses, which she probably did on some Halloween a few years ago. She didn't this year. I saw Instagram. She was dressed up as some dancing man that I couldn't quite recognise. But that's because I've never seen a film in my life. That's besides the point. Nikki Cross should not be getting scared by that. And with what that prick Tucker did to my pal Otis at Hell in a Cell 2020, was anybody else laughing when they saw Tucker looking like that on Monday Night Raw? Who the hell made those tights, and why the hell were those tights clearly made 5 whole minutes before Tucker's match was scheduled to take place on last night's show? They're just a mess, aren't they? They don't look very good at all. I mean, I'm no fashionista, but they look terrible. And they look terrible because, first of all, they quite literally are the pants, I think, that Angel Garza rips off to reveal his little panties underneath. And second of all, they're not tucked in his boots. And I don't like it when a wrestler has tights like that and doesn't tuck them in their boots. It just looks wrong. It didn't work for Sting back in TNA, and it certainly does not work for Tucker here on WWE Raw in the year of 2020. Give these superstars a chance, man, WWE. You've got Retribution and how they're being booked. How are they going to succeed the way things are going at the moment? I know that's slightly changed on last night's Raw with what they did to Tucker and to Trevor Ricochet, but you've got a long way to go to turn that ship around at Mustafa Ali. I don't know why I said that so weird. And now we've got Tucker, fresh from a heel turn, getting beaten under a minute, I think it was, wearing tights like that. Come on, man. Help them out. Even though Tucker is a bellend to begin with and really doesn't deserve the help due to what he did to Otis at Hell in a Cell 2020, but that's besides the point. That is it for all your WTF moments from last night's installment of Monday Night Raw. I've been Ross Twiddell from Cultaholic Wrestling here on the YouTube. Thank you so much for watching this crap. Thank you so much for your continued messages of support. I'm doing Movember. The link to the page is on my Twitter profile at Ross on Wrestling. If you've got a spare quid or two, throw it my way. It's going to a good cause, even though I can't grow a moustache and will look like I like to hang around playgrounds by the end of the month. That's a horrible thought. Anyway, it's for a good cause. I'm rambling now. See you next time, everybody.